Welcome to Oceanic Vibes, where ancient legends, hidden secrets, and unforgettable African stories come alive. Sit back, listen, and journey into the heart of Africa.
The Sunday morning service at Fountain of Mercy Church in Lekki, Lagos was unusually peaceful. More than 500 worshippers sat quietly as the choir finished their final song. Pastor Daniel Aid smiled warmly as he stepped behind the transparent glass pulpit. Beside him sat his elegant wife, Grace Aid, admired by everyone as the perfect pastor's wife. To the congregation, they were the picture of a godly marriage, respected, successful, untouchable, but that image was about to crumble. Just as Pastor Daniel opened his Bible to begin his sermon, the massive church doors slowly opened. A young woman in a faded red dress quietly walked inside, holding the hand of a little boy no older than 7. Nobody paid much attention until the boy suddenly pulled his hand free. Before anyone could stop him, he sprinted down the center aisle. His tiny footsteps echoed across the silent church. Then he stopped directly in front of Grace. His innocent eyes lit up with excitement. "Mommy!" The entire church froze. Grace's smile disappeared instantly. The designer handbag slipped from her trembling fingers and hit the polished marble floor. Pastor Daniel slowly turned towards his wife, confusion written across his face. The little boy looked up again. "Mommy, why did you leave us?" Whispers spread through the church like wildfire. Nobody knew that those 6 words were about to expose a secret buried for 13 years. 6 months earlier, behind the beautiful gates of the Ade family's luxurious home in Magodo, life looked perfect. Pastor Daniel loved his wife deeply, but behind every smile was a pain only the two of them understood. After 12 years of marriage, they still had no children. Grace had prayed, she had fasted, she had cried through countless hospital appointments. Still, nothing changed. Daniel never blamed her. Instead, he would gently hold her hands and say, "God's timing is always perfect," but not everyone shared his faith. One afternoon during a family gathering, Daniel's mother looked directly at Grace and said, "A home without a child is like a tree without fruit." The room became silent. Grace forced a smile, but inside, her heart shattered. That evening, while sitting alone in her living room, her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Something made her answer. "Hello, is this Mrs. Grace Aid?" "Yes, who's speaking?" "My name is Ruth. I need to see you." Grace frowned. "What is this about?" There was a long silence. Then the woman spoke softly. "It is about your son." Grace's heart stopped. "My what?" Before she could ask another question, the call ended. Seconds later, her phone vibrated again. A photograph had arrived. With trembling fingers, Grace opened it. The phone almost slipped from her hand. It showed a younger version of herself, lying in a hospital bed, holding a newborn baby. Tears instantly filled her eyes. That baby was supposed to be dead, or so she had believed for 13 years. Unable to sleep, Grace secretly agreed to meet Ruth the following afternoon at a quiet restaurant in Surulere. Ruth slid an old brown envelope across the table. Inside were faded hospital records, a birth certificate, and a handwritten confession from a nurse. Grace's hands trembled as she read every word. Then Ruth looked into her eyes and quietly said, "Your baby never died." Grace couldn't breathe. "My sister was the nurse who delivered your child. She confessed everything before she died. Your aunt paid her to tell you the baby had died. The baby was secretly sold to another family." Grace's world collapsed. For 13 years, she had mourned the child who had been alive all along. She covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. Only one question escaped her lips. "Where is my son?" Grace could barely breathe. Her eyes remained fixed on the hospital records. Only one question echoed in her mind. "Where is my son?" Ruth took a deep breath before answering. "I found him." Grace slowly looked up. "He lives in Abeokuta with the family that raised him." Ruth placed another photograph on the table. It showed a teenage boy wearing a secondary school uniform. He was smiling. Grace froze. The boy had her eyes, the same smile, the same dimple on his left cheek. Without thinking twice, Grace drove to Abeokuta the following morning. She watched from across the road as the boy walked out of school, laughing with his friends. For the first time in 13 years, she was looking at her son. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She wanted to run to him, to hug him, to tell him she had searched for him every day, but she couldn't. The man who raised Samuel stepped outside the house and noticed Grace watching. He invited her inside. With tears in his eyes, the elderly man confessed everything. My wife and I couldn't have children. We paid for him. We told ourselves we were rescuing him. Grace closed her eyes. You stole my son. The man lowered his head. I know. Does Samuel know? No. He believes we're his real parents. Grace wanted to tell Samuel the truth immediately, but before she could, everything changed. Someone had secretly followed her from Lagos. It was Deaconess Margaret, one of the senior women in Pastor Daniel's church. She took photographs of Grace entering the man's house. Within days, rumors spread across the church. Some claimed Grace had another family. Others whispered she was having an affair. Pastor Daniel ignored every rumor. My wife would never betray me. He defended her before everyone, but the rumors refused to die. Then came the final blow. A woman named Kemi, a relative of Samuel's adoptive family, discovered Grace's true identity. Instead of helping, she demanded 20 million naira. If you don't pay me, I'll expose everything during Sunday service. Grace looked straight into her eyes. I will never pay to buy my own child. Kemi smiled. Then prepare for disgrace. Sunday arrived. The church was completely full. Nobody knew a storm was about to hit. Pastor Daniel stood on the altar, ready to preach. Then, the church doors opened. Kemi walked in. Beside her was little David, the same little boy. She bent down and whispered something into his ear. The boy nodded, then suddenly ran towards Grace. Mommy! The church fell silent. Mommy, why did you leave us? Grace stood frozen. Kemi immediately raised her phone and began recording. This is your pastor's wife, the woman who abandoned her own child. The congregation erupted. Some members stood up. Others began whispering. Pastor Daniel slowly walked down from the altar. Everyone expected him to reject his wife. Instead, he picked up the microphone, then placed it gently into Grace's trembling hands. Tell them the truth. The entire church became silent. Grace took a deep breath. For years, she had hidden behind the image of the perfect pastor's wife. Not anymore. With tears running freely down her face, she confessed everything. She spoke about her pregnancy before marriage, the man who abandoned her, the aunt who betrayed her, the nurse who lied, the baby she believed had died, and the son she had only just found. By the time she finished, many church members were already crying. Suddenly, Ruth stood up from the congregation. She walked to the altar carrying hospital records, the nurse's written confession, and printed screenshots of Kemi's messages demanding 20 million naira. The evidence was undeniable. The church security immediately stopped Kemi from leaving. Minutes later, the police arrived as officers led Kemi away. The entire church watched in silence. Outside the church, Grace slowly walked towards Samuel. The teenager stood beneath a mango tree, unable to speak. Grace stopped a few steps away. I don't expect you to forgive me today. I only want a chance to know you. Samuel stared at her for a long moment, then quietly asked, You really thought I was dead? Grace nodded. Every word hurt. Yes. And when I discovered the truth, I was afraid. Samuel looked down. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Pastor Daniel walked over. He smiled gently at the young boy. My name is Daniel. I know. You don't have to decide anything today. But whenever you're ready, Our home is your home. Months passed. Healing was slow. Trust took time. Grace stepped down from church leadership for a season. Some members left the church. Others stayed and supported her. She stopped pretending to be perfect. Instead, she began encouraging others to bring their hidden pain into the light. Almost 1 year later, during a quiet family dinner, Samuel reached for the bowl of rice. Then he smiled. "Mommy, please pass me the rice." Grace froze. Tears filled her eyes. She passed him the bowl without saying a word, because after 13 years of believing she had lost everything, the truth she feared most had finally brought our family back together. Never hide the truth because of shame. A lie may protect your image for a while, but only the truth can set your heart free. Your past does not define your future. No matter how painful your mistakes may be, honesty, repentance, and forgiveness can restore what fear almost destroyed. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, if you were Pastor Daniel, would you have forgiven Grace?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Oceanic Vibes for more interesting stories like this. See you in the next story.